I'm Jason Fulmore. Today I am here with Arab Alabama head coach Kyle Routon. Hey, coach.
How's it going?
It's okay. How are things up there?
It's going good. Little different right now. A little different with the COVID stuff, but it's going good.
Yeah. Are you guys in school, or are they doing everything online?
We're doing we have some kids that are virtual, but we're doing alternating days. So like A through K come on Monday, and then the other students come on Tuesday, and we're rotating those back and forth. So it's kind of so 1 week you get A through K 3 times, and 1 week you get them twice.
So from a teacher's perspective, is that good? Is it okay, or what do you think?
I mean,
I don't want to out you in front of your administration. I'm just curious.
It's good in some ways, I believe. I'm in PE and I do athletics. So for me, it kind of hurts us a little bit because, I'm only getting the kids in the weight room a couple of days a week instead of getting them every day. But I know the struggle for teachers right now is, they're still getting 5 days of schooling, but like they're having to teach half their kids online that day.
Right.
And half of them in the classroom. So that kind of, I think that's a little bit of an issue right now because you're actually having the kids zoom in to the class at the correct time. And, and I haven't talked to a ton of the teachers, but I could see that probably being a headache here or there.
Yeah. So it popped. Okay, you good with me? It popped to your name for a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I actually travel to 6 different states across the Southeast. So a lot of people may not know Arab, Alabama. In fact, when I first moved here 20-something years ago, it was Arab, and I had to be corrected on it and that sort of thing.
Right.
But it's a small little town in North Alabama. Can you give me any other information I can share with people?
It's a as far as wrestling wise, it's a small little town with a tight knit wrestling community. Tradition up here. Coach Pruitt had things going. He got things going right and kept it rolling. And so there's a lot of passion. We're trying to bring the community a little bit more together. Just try to bring back the people from the 90s and the early 2000s and kind of get build it a little bigger. But as far as the town, I've loved it. I moved here in June, and it's awesome. I live close to the park, drove down next to the park. And at one time, I had to turn around. I turned around, I drove back through it because there's a road that kind of cuts through. You had Pee Wee football practicing. You had girls cheerleading out there. You had some guys in one field playing spike ball. You had some people on a softball field playing softball. You had Frisbee golf. You had people running through the park. You had people playing on the playground.
Yeah.
Every activity you could probably think of. It was just, it was a pretty awesome thing to ride through, especially just moving in.
Yeah.
Just to kind of everybody, it was pretty neat. That was the first day I was like, heck yeah, I'm glad I moved to Arab.
Very cool. Well, you alluded to the fact that Coach Pruitt built an absolute dynasty. If you look at Alabama, and a lot of people might think of Thompson and Vestavia, and they're big schools and that sort of thing, but anybody who really knows Alabama wrestling over the last 25, 30 years, Arab has been right there. You guys, he has taken them in years past to places, and they scrap with the best, and they are pretty much known as hard-nosed, going to grind it out for the entire time, that sort of thing. So walking into a program that is just established, a fantastic program. I wonder what that's kind of like. Is there a little pressure that kind of goes with that, or?
Yeah, there is. I'm an Alabama fan, and I've always said the guy that takes over after Nick Saban, he shouldn't do it. He shouldn't take over.
Right.
Because there's so small of a room for error. And I was kind of kicking myself whenever I took it because I was kind of putting myself in that situation. I'm like, man, I always called the guy that would take over after Saban an idiot, and here I am taking after a legend up here. But you know, it's kind of mixed. You know, you come in, you want to do what they've been doing because obviously it's
Mm-hmm.
been working. But you know, you've also got to be true to yourself. You got to run it the way you run it
Right.
too. So, you know, I've tried to take, not that there was bad. I'm not saying there was bad, but I take what was that can fit into what I do and keep it, and then try to improve some areas that, you know, I bring some improvement to. If there are areas, you know, that I can. So hopefully we'll keep it going and make it better. I know one thing I really want to do is like you said, we're known in Alabama, but I want to start branching out, which is going to be hard to this year with COVID. But in the future, I want to branch out and I want to be known across the Southeast. And so that's, you know, that was my number one thing coming in was, you know, I think we could go a step higher. And that sounds crazy, but that's the goal. So
Very cool. Well, you know, it's not like this is a new rodeo for you. You know, you were at Southside, great program, moved to Oxford, took that program, which was already a fantastic program, and continued to roll, you know, for the last 2 years at Oxford. So this isn't really that much different. I mean, Arab's
right.
a different kind of community, but so what are some of the things that you kind of learned along those paths that are helping you kind of as you make this transition?
Right. You know, I felt like going into Oxford, I made a few early mistakes, taking over a program that was already good. You know, I felt like I really didn't put the stamp on it as soon as I got there that I should have.
Mm-hmm.
And then that put me behind the eight ball for you know, until I was able to get it turned back around, which what made that hard too. I came into that job late in the summer. And as soon as I came into it, football started. I'm a football coach too. So I didn't really have a lot of time to really put that first impression, that first stamp on that program.
Mm-hmm.
That was my one regret
Okay.
with that. You know, now we got it fixed, but it took a little time during that first season to really kind of change. And that was what was good about this. I mean, it was good about that too. I learned from that.
Right.
And then came into this, and you know, which of course got the job earlier in the summer, so I was able to spend some time with those guys, and so I think that learning experience really helped me coming here, because you know, before that, I mean, I was Southside, like I went to school there, I wrestled
Right.
there,
Right.
I started coaching there when I was 19. You know, I'd always been at Southside, so that was a very good learning experience for me going to Oxford.
Was it tough to get out of that comfort zone?
It,
You know, you're at Southside, you're there, you know, or was it like, you know what, I really want that challenge. I want to go someplace
yeah,
I
it
haven't.
was. Yeah, it was. I wanted to. I wanted to. You know, explore out. You know, kind of leave home. I didn't. Not that it's a bad place. I love it. You know, my mom actually just got elected mayor there.
Oh,
Um,
congratulations.
Appreciate it. So it wasn't. You know, it wasn't anything like that.
Right.
It wasn't that I just hated home and wanted to go, but I did want to branch out and kind of explore other options.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about your team, the team that you have coming back. You know, again, Coach Pruitt has developed quite depth. You know, you've got 10 hammers that are returning, specifically Jacob Holland and Cape Dunn down below, who are state
Right.
champions. So
That's right.
yeah. So how are you kind of working to get them, you know, into your mindset? You know, they're established. They've been there. They know what the game looks like.
Right. Probably the biggest difference between how they wrestle and how I coach is just attacking on our feet. You know, that's something that I think, you know, it was obvious. It's like the first couple practices I had. That's where we had to get better at, because I mean
Mm-hmm.
that's what you know, that's what I do. That's what we do as a team, is attacking on our feet. So that's what we spent the majority of the summer doing. And the kids, I've been really impressed. You know, they bought in with, you know, kind of the weight training that I brought in.
Mm-hmm.
They bought in with that style, just kind of in your face, attack on your feet. And so I think they will look a little different this year on the mat.
Yeah.
But,
So if we were to look at it, if you have a hole, you have a little hole up top because you had some graduates up top. Is that something that you had kids who are ready to step up and step into some of those roles, or is that something that as a football coach you're out recruiting and trying to fill those spots?
We've got two kids. We've got two kids that are probably coming back out that they've wrestled in younger years.
Oh, okay.
And they're bigger weights. So they haven't wrestled. One of them hadn't wrestled the past 2 seasons due to injury, both during football, and then he wasn't able to come back for wrestling. So he should be back with us. And then just recruiting, trying to recruit some of those bigger guys out. I keep getting phone calls. I'm having to ignore them. That's what's happening.
It's all good. No worries. This is just a conversation between you and I. I mean, that's all this is.
Yeah. Nah, that's why it keeps going away, because I'm getting a phone call. I'm having to.
You're a busy guy.
Hang up on them. People know this is my planning period, so they're calling me during. And we had a wrestling committee meeting this morning too. So I've had a couple of wrestling coaches kind of call and ask me kind of how it went and how what the plan for the season, all that stuff is. But
yeah. Has it been tough trying to get a schedule put together?
Yeah, I mean, so what I've been telling coaches, because it's looking like they're not going to let us. It's looking like for the first part of the season we're going to have to back off of tournaments and do more quad stuff. And so what I've been telling coaches is keep your schedule, because they said it's going to be fluid. So, 1 week they might say no tournaments. Well, they might come back December 1st and say we can wrestle tournaments.
Right.
So I'm telling everybody, everybody I talk to, keep your schedule, but then also, have plan B in case we can't wrestle a tournament on December 5th. Have a plan B to where you've got a quad scheduled. And that way you're still getting mat time.
Very cool.
But back on the recruitment with football players.
Yeah.
That's one thing. We got a good bit of football players that wrestle. And Coach Osmond's doing a great job up here with the football program, kind of changing the culture up here with that. And so the more of those guys I think I can get in the wrestling room, the more, kind of continuity we'll have amongst sports. So hopefully we'll be getting several of those guys in.
So the last question I have is probably the thing that from a fan's perspective, I'm the most excited about. And that is 5A, 6A North is just a grind this year. I mean, you guys have dominated down below at 1A, 5A. There are some really great teams that were down there, Jasper and Alexandria. They're coming up as well. And then you're joining the group with Gardendale and, all of the teams that were really good in 6A, and you guys are all in one together. So I'm trying to get a perspective. I mean, I know as a coach, you love the challenge, but how do you kind of approach that in terms of preparing your guys for a sectional tournament that really will be significantly more difficult than they've wrestled before?
Yeah, we had several conversations, throughout the summer, just with the fact of, because it's kind of in the mindset here, qualifying for state is not that hard of a thing to do.
Right.
Because there's been 16, 8 from each section. And a lot of times, those 6, 7, 8 guys, it's
not to take anything away from them, but it's not as hard.
Right. But it like one year at Southside, I had a kid, he came up to me before the tournament even started. He said, "Coach, I'm the first state qualifier." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, the way the bracket falls, I can lose 3 matches and finish 8th, and I'm still going to qualify." And I said, "Well, if you don't win a match, I'm not letting you go to the state tournament." And he said, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Yes, I'm serious." And he finished 7th that year. So he had a lot of pressure on that last match. That he was a qualifier, but he knew he was not going to stay in Huntsville and wrestle at the state tournament if he did not win. I told him I would forfeit. And just because I didn't think it was right to go 0-3, not even win a match and be a qualifier. But he did. He won a match, so he went. And so, but now, I mean, you're going to look at those 5, 6 place matches as being really tough. Like, I mean, whenever you cross we might cross with somebody in the South and be a 3 seed up top. Well, now we're facing a 6. Well, that 6 might be a hammer.
That's right.
And so it really puts a lot more emphasis on you really got to get focused for that first round match at state, and definitely being focused at sectionals, because, it's going to be a lot tougher. There's 70 something teams. I added up whenever they decided that. And I think we have, and I could be wrong on this number. I've got it written down somewhere. That's why I was looking in my bag while ago, see if I had it. But I think there's like 19 state champions returning.
No, I think you're right. I've been going through it, and there's so many where you have both the 1A, 5A, and the 6A from last year, state champs that are in there. And you have, I think there were some weight classes where there were 10 of the 12 state placers.
Yeah. I think I was in the weight class stayed the same. No, I'm sorry. Out of, let's see, what was it? It's like 26, 32, 38. Like those 3 weight classes, a lot of 38s might stay 38s. Well, those 26s, they might be 38s.
Right.
So like, there's a possibility that there could be 5 state champions in a weight class.
No, I know. I mean, and from a fan's perspective, it's awesome.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome just because, some years you got those kids that are sophomores and juniors and they win a state title and they come back and they think the next year should just be given to them. And you have a hard time really getting those guys focused, especially as seniors that have won it before. I don't know why it is. But those guys are really hard, and you gotta stay on them sometimes just because they think, oh, well, I won it already. I'm a senior. I'm going to win it again. Those attitudes will definitely be exposed.
In this field,
they are definitely going to be exposed. So we've got to do a good job of, kind of keeping those guys hungry and knowing that there are people out there. They are working,
And they're hunting for that top step.
And they're ready.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time. We could talk for a while. I so am looking forward to the season, seeing how you guys go with all the other top teams. And, hopefully we'll cross paths and be able to catch up a little bit.
One thing from my region standpoint, we're in Region 7, where it's us, Oxford, Fort Payne, Southside, and then Scottsboro and Lincoln. Well, and Alexandria. I'm sorry, Frank. I didn't mean to forget Alexandria. He's one of the guys that called me a while ago. But Alexandria, Fort Payne, Arab, and Oxford were all region champs last year, and now we're all in the same region.
Oh,
So just from a dual standpoint, heck, we're going to have to fight with 3 other region champs just to get out of region.
It's awesome. It's awesome for me. It's awesome to watch.
Right. I think it's awesome too. I do. If you don't think it's awesome, then you're behind the 8 ball right now.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it to 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, you're good.
But
you're good.
maybe we'll. I just hope that the season goes okay and we're able to cross paths and all that jazz.
Right. Yes, sir.
All right. You take care.
All right. Appreciate it.
See ya. Bye.
See ya.